Hi, First Baptist Church. I want to come to you today and address the topic of reopening the church. We're all excited for the day when we might gather together again. And even this week, you probably have seen word that has come through our governor, Oklahoma's governor, Kevin Stitt, talking about reopening Oklahoma's economy. In fact, this week, the state of Oklahoma produced a plan that's called Ours Plan. And you can find details of that plan online, but we as a church have been working, our staff, our deacons, our leaders have been working toward the idea of reopening church. And I want to come to you today and share some of the details of that with you. Now, we're calling this our phased reopening plan. I have a copy of that plan even with me that I'm going to be referring to throughout this brief video. And we're posting this plan to our website, and we'll also be sending it out to everyone who is a part of our email newsletter. And so if you aren't a part of that email newsletter, here's an easy way for you to receive those email updates from us. You can go to fbcchickasha.org/connect, and there's an online web form there. And in the comments section, fill out your name and your information. On the comments section there, say something about how you would like to receive the email newsletter. We'll be sure to get you on those updates so that you receive those updates when they happen in the future. But let me highlight a few of the specific plans that we have with regard to reopening. Before I address any specifics, though, I want to say this. A lot of thought, a lot of prayer, a lot of diligent discussion has gone into the plan that I'm about to share with you. Our staff have met extensively over the last several weeks planning for this very idea of what's it going to look like for us to reopen. Not only that, we've met with our deacon body, with our monthly deacon meeting in the month of April, and even some other information we've shared with them. We have met with leaders in our church in various forms, mostly through phone call, Zoom, FaceTime, things of that nature. And I've even met with a group of pastors from around Oklahoma, kind of at a state level, discussing what it looks like for churches to reopen. So a lot of thought, a lot of work has gone into brainstorming what is best, and not only thought, but prayer. We've genuinely sought God. Lord, what's best for us? What's the best way forward for us in all of this? There's no way that we're going to please everybody. There's no way that we can come up with a plan that everyone is going to think is the best and that everyone is going to like, right? That's just not a reality. We accept that. I understand that that's the way that it is. But remember this. Regardless of perhaps your personal thoughts about this, the goal of all of this is that we might be moving together as a people, that we might be moving in a unified direction to love people to Christ and to multiply disciples. That's our mission. And even if you don't think that this plan is maybe exactly what we ought to do or the exact timing of when we ought to do that, we want to encourage you that you would still stay connected. Stay connected with your small group. Stay connected with our church as a whole as we worship together. Continue to access those worship resources that we're making available for you. And when the time is right for us to gather together corporately, come back. Come to church so that we can celebrate together. I'm excited for that day. All right, let's talk specifics. According to the plan that we're presenting, there is simply a three-phased approach. Much like the federal plan, the state plan, our church's plan has sort of a three-phased approach for reopening. Phase 1 will begin on May the 1st. That's 1 week from the time that I'm recording this video. Next Friday, today is Friday, April the 24th. Next Friday, we will officially launch into phase 1 of our reopening plan. Now, according to this, here's what will happen. I'm going to read to you some of the highlights that will be happening in phase 1. In phase 1, we will continue to worship virtually. So when May 1st gets here, and we fast forward to that first Sunday in May, May the 3rd, we will continue to worship virtually. We will not gather in person for worship, but we will continue to produce service content that will be available for you virtually or over the radio if you listen to our local radio broadcasts. And in fact, throughout phase 1, we will continue to worship virtually. Also during this same period of time, our staff will continue with the various virtual worship venues that we've been doing throughout this time of interim operation. In other words, to kind of just say it simply. We're going to continue to produce Sunday school content, Wednesday midweek content, regular teaching content, and our Sunday morning worship service, all done virtually throughout phase 1 of our reopening plan. Well, you may say, well, how is that reopening if we continue to meet virtually? It's because there are some other things that we're going to bring back online, as it were, in phase 1. Let me highlight some of those things for you. Our deacon body will meet in person in the month of May, on Sunday, May the 17th. On Sunday afternoons in the month of May, our staff will be meeting in person here at the church with our church committees and other key leadership groups to talk about specific plans for phase 2 and what it looks like when we really get into some of the specifics about relaunching a lot of our ministries and adjustments that will need to be made in light of all of the various health and safety concerns that we need to take into account when we do begin to gather again corporately in phase 2 of this plan. So throughout the month of May, we will be in phase 1. We will worship virtually, but we will have key leadership and strategy meetings in person with select members of our church. And if you're going to be a part of those meetings, we will reach out to you. You'll know about that. You'll receive an invitation via email through ACS Realm so that you might know about the timing and the date of those particular meetings. And let me also say that if you aren't comfortable attending, if you get invited to one of those meetings and you're not comfortable attending that meeting, we will still work with you to make that content available to you virtually. We can either allow you to join in the meeting virtually through Zoom, or we can figure out other ways that might work with your schedule and your availability to do that. Some other highlights of phase 1. In addition to these key strategy meetings, we will bring back members of our staff who are currently not working, members of our staff who do not fall into the categories of those who are most vulnerable, as outlined by the Centers for Disease Control, the state of Oklahoma's Hours Plan, and even local guidelines. So effectively, anyone under the age of 65 will return to working on campus. Now, throughout this process, our full-time staff have been working, but we have part-time employees that have not been working. We will bring them back. They will begin to work again during this period of time that we are in phase 1, provided that they're under the age of 65, that they're healthy, that they're not sick in any way, and just according to the other health and safety standards. Also, during this period of time, we will adhere to strict observance of social distance practices that have been put in place. And so we aren't the ones producing those, and those may even change as we get into this. So I'm not going to run down all of the specifics, but let's just suffice to say all of the standards put in place by local governance, state governance, and even federal governance, we're going to follow those standards strictly during phase 1. We're going to do our best, practice social distancing, other health and safety standards during that time. Then the last thing, and really the last part of phase 1, which will really be our first larger corporate gathering on the last Sunday of the month. On Sunday, May the 31st at 4:30 in our sanctuary, we will have a monthly business meeting, a public monthly business meeting. So you are invited to attend. Now, there will be no child care available for that. And also, we want you to know that if you fall into those age ranges and those other stipulations for those who are most at risk and most vulnerable under the state of Oklahoma's Safer at Home guidelines, then you need to stay home. We will make that content available virtually as well for you to be able to watch that and participate in that. But if you are within the guidelines of these various regulations that are out there, then you're invited to be a part of our May business meeting on Sunday afternoon, May the 31st at 4:30. We will meet here in our sanctuary. We will observe social distancing and other things that we communicated in the days leading up to that meeting. But we want you to put that on your calendar and plan to join us. Then on June the 1st, tentatively, right now, the plan is the following day, on Monday, June 1st, we would enter into phase 2 of our reopening plan. Let me highlight a few specifics about the phase 2 plan. In phase 2, we would begin to have Sunday morning worship together. We would have a corporate worship gathering on Sunday mornings at 10:30. In that worship gathering, we will not have, during that time, we will not have childcare. There will be no extended session. There will be no preschool. There will be no childcare for anyone of any age during that time. But we will have a worship service at 10:30 on Sunday mornings when we enter into phase 2. Tentatively, right now, we're thinking that will begin June 1st. We will update you, of course, as the plan progresses, but that's the plan, June 1st. So practically speaking, Sunday, June 7th would be our first Sunday back. Now, when we come back together corporately for worship during that period of time, we understand that there will be many who may not be comfortable, especially when they know that we don't have childcare. They just feel like it's too much for their children. Your children are welcome to come and worship with you, to be with you in worship that day, but you may hear that we're not going to have childcare and you may think, no, we can't do that. It's not, our family's not ready for that. Our children aren't ready for that. It's okay. We're going to continue to produce our virtual worship content. Of course, we were streaming our services before that, but even in that time, we're going to cater to both the actual gathered audience, the physical audience, and a virtual audience in the way that we put together those services throughout phase 2 in the month of June. Okay? Also, phase 2, we have an adult Sunday school class that will begin meeting on Sunday mornings at 9:15 in our fellowship hall. It will be for adults who are a part of any adult Sunday school department. But it's important that you understand during that time, that 9:15 Sunday school hour, we'll observe social distancing. We'll do our best to keep space. We will even arrange tables with chairs in such a way to keep people spread out as we gather together. And there will be no childcare, and importantly, at that time on Sunday mornings at 9:15, no scheduled activities for children or youth. That will be an adult Sunday school class that is for adults. There will be a master teacher teaching and some table discussions as a part of that interaction of that. So we understand that for many, they're going to say, well, if there's not anything for our kids, that's not a time for us to gather. Well, here's what we're doing for your children. On Wednesday nights throughout phase 2 in the month of June, we will have activities for children and youth on our campuses of all ages. So effectively, Sunday mornings, we're going to focus on Sunday school for adults. And on Wednesday nights, we're going to focus on activities, ministry activities for children and youth. There will also be an adult Sunday school class that's kind of a catch-all for anyone who's bringing their kids or their teenagers on Wednesday nights. That will happen at 6:15 on Wednesday nights in conjunction with the high-quality programming that Brad Duncan and Colby Sorensen are planning for our youth and our children during that time. So Wednesday nights is really going to target reaching our young people, and Sunday mornings at 9:15, we're really going to focus on pouring into our adults. It's a way of sort of slowly bringing those ministries back online, if you will, and allowing us to keep people spread out in ways that are appropriate, but also target them with rich content that will really meet their specific needs. So, phase 2, just an overview. Sunday mornings, 9:15, an adult Sunday school class. 10:30 worship for everyone, family style, meaning that everyone's in the room together. If you choose not to come, we certainly understand that. We will have virtual worship content made available for you, resources for you, and you can just join us streaming the service online. We will cater to both the live and a streamed audience in those worship services. And then also Wednesday nights focus on children and youth, as well as a class for adults, kind of a catch-all for adults. Throughout that period of time, if you wish to stay in connection with your particular Sunday school group, your small group, your group of men or women, or your mixed co-ed group that meets together, we would encourage you that you would continue to meet together virtually by Sunday school department during that time via Zoom or some other virtual means that you might choose to do so. And then the plan is that in the month of July, beginning Wednesday, July 1st, we will transition into phase 3. Tentatively speaking, that's the plan right now, phase 3. Now let me hit some highlights of phase 3. For all intents and purposes, you really might think of phase 3 as being the time when our ministries resume their normal operation. Sunday mornings, we will have Sunday school for all ages in their regular meeting spaces, as well as worship with kids crew and extended session and those other things brought back in the month of July with phase 3. At least that's what we anticipate right now, according to what we know at this moment. Also, Falls Creek is scheduled for July the 8th through the 11th. More information on that will come as they make those decisions at the state level. Bible school. We're working right now on what it might look like to do Bible school in the month of July. And so you'll hear more about that as we work through those plans. We'll communicate that to you as a church body. And then Sunday nights. We're not going to bring Sunday nights back online right away in Phase 3 in the month of July. That will happen at a later date. And part of that is because our plan is to use Sunday nights in the month of July as a time that we might have some fellowship together as a church, but also times that we could do outreach, targeted outreach to our community. So the specifics are very fluid and very much in the early stages right now, but we're thinking about something that we might call Sundays in the Park. And on Sunday evenings in that period of time, if we're able to, gathering in local parks and doing some outreach things that would allow us to fellowship together and outreach and invite our community to be a part of those. Those plans are far from being finalized. In fact, that's really in the almost too early to tell you about it phases of development. But that's what we're working on right now, and that's what we're shooting for in the month of July with Sunday nights. And then later in the fall, we would resume, it would be our plan to resume our normal Sunday night operations and normal Sunday night schedule. And we bring that back online as the final component of resuming regular operations. Okay, that's where things stand right now. It is our phased reopening plan. You can access a physical copy of that plan on our website. We've emailed it out if you're part of our email newsletter. And I would encourage you in the days and weeks to come, pray for our church as we come back together to worship. Pray that things would go smoothly. Pray that people would respond. Pray that people that we've been able to reach virtually through this period of time might join us corporately, might be present with us physically, that we can reach people with the love of Christ and multiply disciples. That's our mission as a church. May we stay focused on that for the glory of God, for the good of our community, so that He would be honored in us. Church, I love you. I can't wait to meet together with you again. Until then, be blessed.